sometimes I have this little sci-fi dystopian Black Mirror moment where I'm like, I've never been to North Korea. Do we even know if it's real? Like maybe they just drew it on the map and it doesn't exist. Yeah, like I've never been. Maybe it's all. Of course, I also have that simulation theory that I melt into every now and then, where I wonder if you guys are real.
That's upsetting. You can't be doing that, man. You're gonna lose.
You
your
wouldn't
mind.
know if you were. I wouldn't know. You could be the real one. I'm fully open to the concept that you're the only real person that there is, and that I'm just an NPC who's programmed to be me.
No, the simulation thing is. It's always struck me as retarded because it's like, okay, so this is just like a secular interpretation of what God would be if it weren't supernatural. It's like, no, if that's a
clever.
God
I never looked
real,
at it through that lens. That's just an atheist talking about God.
Yeah, it's just
and
like,
I'm not singling out Kyle, but
God exists.
Not necessarily because
really.
because all right, if you're talking about that particular simulation theory, the idea that we are some one simulation and they're running like, oh, let's see what would happen if this and that happened, or let's learn how the universe began. That universe that we discovered over there because we travel from one to the other. In that scenario, I rewind me a second. I just had a brain fart.
We were talking about the simulation being a parallel to God.
Yeah,
but even in that, but the people who created the simulation, they don't know where their universe came from. They could have you know what I mean?
But then it's like an infinitely reducible. More complex explanation.
It could be a simulation. It could be the Rick and Morty bit where it's a simulation within a simulation within a simulation, and like who is the real one? And soon, and we've created plenty of simulations, right? And we think of the little like, if this happens, do that. If that happens, do this kind of coding as just rudimentary. 1 + 2 is 3. But I don't know. That's kind of how we behave anyway. You know, whether free will exists or not. Like we were very predictable in the way we make our decisions and the way we live our lives. But
I've never been convinced by the simulation thing.
You've never thought so much of yourself though that you thought that like this is probably all just about me. And
like
an
empty solipsist,
like in an empty room, you just be like, look, this is a fucking simulation. Come on, let's go back to the real world. I'm tired of this.
Is that called solipsism? The belief that you are the only real entity and everything else is contrived?
If it is, I didn't know there was a word for it. I just sort of thought of it as self-imagining that you're within a simulation, sort of Matrix kind of.
Either scenario. way, like you can always like argue like, oh, well, you get back to the beginning of time and God. Well, that's just explaining something we don't know yet with God. It's like, okay, well, that's exactly what simulation theory is, except it's even adding an additional layer of complexity where this godlike being is also programming us. For what purpose? For what reason?
Oh, it doesn't have to be a godlike being.
Still reducing it to an unexplained thing, just in a different frame.
Now, we could be in some kid's hard drive in his bedroom. You know,
he's still an all-knowing, all-powerful kid.
Yeah, it's still someone who's creating an existence.
You can see the parallels, Kyle.
Yeah,
you're an all-knowing, but you're that compared to a program that you write.
Apparently, I know nothing.
Remember that?
we all know nothing. Dude, DKA don't know anything is actually very funny, and I want to use it.
We've all seen Tron. It could be just like Tron. Go watch Tron. It's terrible with Jeff Bridges. Just a shit movie.
I guess the reason
I was the right age.
It doesn't better explain reality than just the God theory. Because like at the end of the chain with God, it's like, and then God did this. It's like, okay, that's the entity, but that we can't define. The entity you can't define in the simulation thing is just someone running a simulation who then could be on a simulation run by a simulation. And it's like almost more complicated than just being like, no, it's something supernatural we can't explain.
I don't really think about like who might be running it or why. I just kind of prefer the idea that I'm the only real person and this is all about me.
That's a very lonely existence.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. But little Toby Murphy and Rocky, they're not real?
Animals aren't real anyway. They don't have souls.
Don't you fucking say that.
They don't go to heaven. You ever see All Dogs Go to Heaven?
Yes, I watched it as a child all the time, and they do go to heaven. Cats don't, but like dogs all do. Dogs are all good souls.
Cats
only good cats go to heaven.
All cats go to hell.
Actually, pit bulls don't go. Because they're mean to other pit bulls are mean to other dogs, and that negates it.
They go to a segregated heaven that the infrastructure isn't very nice. A lot of liquor stores and pawn shops and shit.
They got their own water bowls.
Yeah. Our heaven's gonna be gentrified. It's gonna be sweet.
Dude,
there's like old infrastructure, but there's still a Starbucks, you know? Like it's a nice place to live. I hope it's not clouds, because whenever I see that, it's like, I don't want to walk around on clouds. And in gold streets, that's so gaudy. Who cares if everything's gold?
Walking around on clouds probably sucks. Like, I've walked around in a lot of soft sand, and it's exhausting. Clouds can't be any better.
I hope we're all fit. I hope we're all like super fit. Like in Exorcist 3, they show this thing where Fabio, you know, the model Fabio, he's playing an angel in this. He's having a dream or a vision or something, and he sees like a heaven hellscape type thing, and Fabio's there as an angel. And I always thought, I hope everybody looks like Fabio in heaven. I hope there's no uggos there, right? Like, imagine you live your whole life as an uggo, believing in the Lord and praising him. And then you go to heaven, you have to be like an uggo there too, and nobody wants to have heaven sex with you.
Or they could be punished because that's a sin. Sloth, gluttony,
pride.
I'm having the is it Syndicate?
The root of all
I forget the bad guy's name in Mr. Incredible or The Incredibles, but he has the line, if everyone has superpowers, then nobody has superpowers.
Yeah.
That's, if you're gonna make the ugly people attractive, then no one's attractive.
Well, we get to hell still exists, I hope. The Pope, by the way, Pope came out, said he doesn't think hell exists. Okay, fuck. That's
the Pope said that?
What does he know?
He says if it does exist, I hope there's no one there.
Dude, the Pope is fucked.
I was going to say, Taylor, is he right? You're the guy I go to for religion.
Yeah, you can come to me anytime you have a religious question, at least around Christian stuff.
I go to
like,
religion and spelling. Taylor's your guy.
Dude, religion and spelling. Other than that, stay the hell away with your questions. But yeah, hell is very clearly real from Christian dogma.
Really?
It's not a, I'm shocked the Pope would say hell isn't real.
The Torah didn't mention it.
Well, Judaism is not from Christian dogma. It's not from.
It's the Old Testament is in the Torah, though, right? Like the whole thing.
No. The Torah is Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. It's the first 5.
That's a lot of books. How many books are in the Old Testament?
Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth, 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, 1st and 2nd Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther, Job.
What is happening right now?
He's naming the books of the Bible.
Zedekiah, no, I fucked it up. I don't know the rest of them.
It sounds to me like at least 20% of the Torah is the Bible.
No, there's about
20% of the Bible is in the Torah.
It's less than that, yeah, because I believe
a heaven or a hell.
I believe Numbers is pretty short.
I mean, I know there's not a real heaven and hell, like 100%, but I'm not even sure that the Christians. I think they probably just made that shit up. Wasn't Jesus the only one talking about heaven? He was like, the only way to God is through me or something like that.
I am the way, the truth, and the life.
Pretty convenient.
I wasn't fully indoctrinated.
No, I hit my numbers. I got in. Yeah.
I keep asking people when I meet them at parties and stuff, like, hey, are you baptized? It's a great like icebreaker. People love it. And everyone is baptized. Like even people who are like completely not religious, gay people.
Dude, everyone. Like, I'm baptized, and both my children are baptized.
Yeah, dude, I'm baptized too. You're going to hell so hard, dude.
You haven't been baptized, Kyle?
I'm so worried that someone is going to see my unbaptized body as a potential vessel for a daemon and take me and do some sort of black ritual on me where they, allow a powerful demon to come and coexist in my vessel. Imbuing me with powers that are unfathomable to a mortal man. I really hope that doesn't happen.
Thankfully for you,
sovereign citizen shit, right?
I'm no theologian, but
yes, you are.
The baptism process is symbolic. It's not about the actual water going over you. That's not what cleanses you. It's a dedication of your life to Christ.
That's not what baptism is. It's a financial arrangement. You throw a party, you see people you care about, and you start a college account with the gifts. That's baptism.
They never dipped me in the water. I never said the words. It never happened. And I remember seeing people get baptized and thinking, that's embarrassing. I wouldn't want to go up in front of everyone and get dipped in the water. Like this is when I'm 7 or 8.
What if you're 7 or 8 days old? or months.
That didn't happen. That did. I was not baptized.
But should those people be
and I've never
embarrassed?
asked.
Should you be like, look at that fucking baby all naked getting dipped in water? How emasculating!
What a bitch.
I've never asked, but I know that like my uncle got cancer, who my dad was very close with when I was like 3 or 4, and I think that, and they went to a fucking preacher somewhere, like one of those magic preachers. And like my dad saw that experience where like his desperate brother who was dying gave money to like this preacher man. And he's never said it. This is just all me reading the room. But I think that really soured him on religion and like especially organized religion. So maybe that's why I get baptized. Maybe it wasn't a priority. But I think my sister did. I think they dipped her ass.
As a little girl?
I don't know. I don't remember this.
You in the heavenly realm.
I'm going to ask next time I talk to one of why I wasn't baptized. I don't want to be, and I genuinely think it's kind of neat. Makes me special. Because everyone I talk to has been baptized. A lesbian couple I thought
you're going to be the belle of the ball in hell.
Yeah, maybe I'll be in charge. Maybe they'll call me the
hell-bound savage.
Dude, what if I'm like a lieutenant because the unwashed one, come forth, Lord.
No, that's like a supernatural understanding of hell. In hell, Satan is not in charge. Satan is also being tortured.
Where do you get your hell information from? Is it from God? Oh, is that where you get your information about Russia? Or do you go to the real media, right? You go to Tucker Carlson and find out about Russia. Get the real scoop straight from Vladimir Putin's mouth, the truth.
I don't know. I guess
I don't believe God's version of here's what I'll say about heaven and hell. If there is a heaven and hell, then God's fucking lying to us about how that whole thing went down, right? Because it just doesn't make any sense. The whole thing doesn't make any sense.
What do you mean? Tell me what.
If God is truly all powerful, then he can. It's like in the Matrix when Neo finally becomes the one, and like the fighting becomes not a thing anymore. It doesn't matter who's faster or stronger because he can just delete you from existence with his mind. So the whole story doesn't make any sense unless it's just a parable to teach us, about right and wrong and scare us.
That could be you might be, on the money there. But the thing about hell is demons are not like in pop culture. Demons are like in charge. They're like lieutenants in hell, and Satan is the general of hell. It's a place of total torment. And the definition of hell is distance from God, meaning that you are distanced from God's greatness in hell. And so you'll be spending eternity in pain and torture and this and that because you're amongst other people who lived poorly and there's no redemption available because you're distanced from God. That's the idea of hell.
As my theological advisor, hypothetically, if you sold your soul for $5 on a PKA hangout, would you never get into heaven afterwards? Because
no, not at all. Because I guess in like the theological belief, it would be that your soul is not yours to sell. Like you have to actively choose against God throughout your entire life, and then when you die, your wish is kind of fulfilled and you are distanced from Him. But if you sold your soul to some person on our hangout, and then tomorrow your parents called you and they gave you a really great sell on their beliefs. And you were like, I'm in the mix. I'm in the mix, baby. I'm going to go to church. I'm going to do this and that. Not that church is necessary, but I'm going to, pay
Dude, I'm reading about
and
hell.
You would go to heaven. Yeah.
So obviously there's like Paradise Lost and the Divine Comedy, which are sort of fictions written about the Bible. It's like fan fiction. And instead people have interpreted
Dante was a nerd.
Sure, and people have interpreted it as like canon, but it was fan fiction. That's the way to look at it. But I'm looking at like the straight from the Bible stuff, like Matthew 25:41. The universal punishment for all who reject Jesus Christ as Savior to be cast into the lake of fire. And then Revelations 20:15, the Bible speaks of hell as a place of outer darkness where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Matthew 8:12 through 23 and 13. Those whose names are written in the Lamb's book of life should have no fear of this terrible fate. By faith in Christ and his shed blood, we are destined to live eternally in the presence of God. Yes, it sounds pretty awful. And you're definitely right that Satan's not in charge down there. But again, that's God's version. Okay. Of course he would say that, like in charge. That's where I threw him. For all we know, hell is like the better part of the universe that God and the devil exist in, and God is like living in the shitty like suburbs or something like that. And hell is like this vast green fertile orchard of like, you know, other dimensionally paradise fanciness, right?
I don't think
like,
so. I think that's again supernatural.
We're gonna get to heaven, and it's gonna be that Russian style architecture, just floor after floor of gray shit that looks like every survival game you've ever played.
Oh, I was talking about the cool Russian architecture with the onion tops.
Yeah,
no,
I was
not Red Square, not Red Square. I'm talking.
No.
Think about Call of Duty 4 maps. That Russian architecture.
Oh, block.
Okay, those
it's
Eastern
Europeans to do
Europeans,
well with a scorpion on that map.
They do love their fucking blocks. Actually, no, XCal killed it with a scorpion on that map. So
XCal could kill it with a knife on that map.